is up, my creepy cronies? Welcome back. I am the Crowllector, and today I thought I would finally tell you why. I mean, the Crowllector, that's a pretty big claim to make. I gotta have something to back it up, right? Now, I try and keep things rather positive here. Collecting is, and has always been, a hobby that really brings me joy, and I try and share that joy here with whoever watches my videos, because what good is joy if you can't share it? And it feels weird, a bit weird, to say that Scarecrow is a comfort character for me, just given the nature of the character, but he definitely fills me with that uniquely nerdy joy whenever I see him pop up in something. Now, months and months ago, back when I first started the channel, I made a video kind of explaining me and the purpose of the channel, what I intended to do, all that. And in that video, I promised to showcase my Scarecrow collection, what I call my Crowllection. But you know what they say, the best laid plans don't get you laid. Something like that. I wasn't paying attention. Point is, life got in the way, as it tends to do, so I'm obviously a bit late in delivering, but in order to make up for it, I figured I would just do a big old collection spotlight all at once and show you why, once and for all, why I call myself the Crowllector. Along the way, I will give some insight into the pieces, maybe highlight some of my favorites. Definitely let me know down below some of your favorites, or if there's any you'd like to know more about for me to feature in a future video. Like I said before, we'll start small and kind of work our way up from the tiny things, the minifigures, all the way up to the artwork and the big old statues and so on. But yeah, for the meantime, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the Crowllection. First up, we have the HeroClix. Now, I'm not really familiar with HeroClix as a game. I'll be honest, card games and RPGs and the like really don't make much sense to me. I was not made to think critically about a lot of things, so I just kind of collect these guys for the figurine aspect. I do love the detail that goes into them and the wide array of looks that they've managed to produce. Some of these guys can be a little tough to keep standing up. Obviously, being smaller and a softer plastic means they can sometimes bend forward a bit, but I think they're still really fun. Moving on, these are the painted miniatures. I believe they're from Night Models. Now, I am also not a miniature painter. I would love to be, but admittedly, it's just a talent I do not possess. So these did come pre-painted. There's a lot of other really cool miniatures out there too, but I never really see them come pre-painted. So if you're watching this and you paint miniatures, let me know. I'd be happy to buy one from you. Got a couple Lego minifigures as well, and these are really, really cool. Lego is always something I'm both happy and sad that I never got more into. I did love putting together those old Bionicle sets back in the day. Those really made me happy. And then we have some little miscellaneous items, all from various companies around the world. Now these are definitely some of the most dangerous ones, those little impulse purchases, but I think they're a fun way to boost the collection bit by bit without, hopefully, spending a lot of money. I love seeing the little knickknacks they make in different parts of the world that we don't get here in America. Sort of like this little Batman Begins cell phone dangler. Or this little cereal toy. Man, I miss getting toys with my cereal. I feel like that's not really a thing anymore. Mystery box figures are a bit of an irritant to me. If something gets announced, especially little minifigs like these, I always brace myself for them being a mystery box figure. I think it's kind of like glorified gambling in a way, and even though I did have my phase of getting caught up in it, now, unless I want the full series, I'll usually just wait and get it off eBay or something. I don't mind paying a little bit more if I know which one I'm getting so I don't end up with like 10 of the same figure. Some little one-off items I have that are fun. These are some of these screen-used pills from the show Titans, used by Vincent Kartheiser. I got this as a present from my boo a couple of years back, so thanks, boo. These two baggies are from Comics on Coffee. Very fun, kind of original idea. If you love comics and you love coffee, definitely check them out. This is not sponsored, but hey, Comics on Coffee, hit me up. I've seen them in a few local comic shops recently, actually, which is where I got this first one. And then I saw that they announced one with just Scarecrow on the cover, so of course, I had to give that one as well. And luckily, the coffee is pretty good too. There's lots of other nerdy flavors on the website, so definitely check them out. These two mugs are those little heat-changing mugs. Sort of like a superhero doing a quick change. You see the design when adding hot liquid to the cup. Personally, I think there should be an opposite version where you see the design when you add cold things to it, because I'm not really a big hot drink guy. But still, you don't often see Scarecrow on a cup, so I had to get it. But beware, you might be drinking his special new concoction. Ooh! This one I just thought was really silly and really fun. It's a Batman Begins walkie-talkie. Originally, it came in a 2-pack with Batman, but I just wanted Scarecrow. I feel like walkie-talkies for kids are kind of like another relic of a lost time. I really don't see them much anymore. But just the thought of kids carrying these around, talking into the full body of a guy in a business suit is just so silly to me. But if we are ever thrust into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, I am definitely finding a way to fix this up so I can communicate with others. This little Scarecrow wallet is from the Arkham Knight merch line. I totally did unironically rock this as my wallet for like a good year or two, maybe even 3 after the game came out. I loved this guy. Did I use it trying to get compliments from others? Absolutely. Did I ever get compliments from others? Absolutely not. This is a little figurine from Etsy. It's a little pixel sprite of Scarecrow from the animated series, I think Nintendo game. The shop itself has a lot of really cool old school pixelated products, little characters like this, more big scenic displays, very, very cool. This is also from Etsy, a sort of Scarecrow playing card that's been burned onto wood. Very, very cool. So I was born and grew up for a while in Texas, so something about burnt designs on wood always remind me of my childhood. This magnet is from the Warner Brothers studio tour. There's also a keychain of the same design that I need to get. I also recently discovered that Warner Brothers Abu Dhabi, of all places, has a Scarecrow ride and official Scarecrow merch that you can't get anywhere else. And trust me, I did look it up online, but I can't find anything about it. So if you can hook a Crowllector up, or Warner Brothers, if you are somehow watching this, I will gladly become a corporate shill for some of that sweet, sweet Abu Dhabi merch. I'm just saying. first piece that I wanted to highlight is the... You know what? Excuse me for a moment while I change into something a little more spooky. All right. Oh, much better. Where was I? Oh, now, this one here is extra special to me because this one is the only one of these guys in the entire world. My mom actually commissioned this for me a couple years ago. A friend of hers runs this company called Moody Voodies, which makes these super cool, super creepy dolls. Some original, some based on existing characters, but sort of like their spin on them. And she commissioned this one for me for Christmas. And apparently, according to the maker, it was quite difficult for her. It took a lot of time, which I think you can honestly tell. I feel bad about that, but again, it shows so much. So much love and care and attention went into this. Obviously, it is 100% handmade. Lots of different kinds of fabric from, I think it's, I'm not good with fabric, but I think it's felt for the suit. What feels like little 3D printed hands. Obviously, you have the burlap for the mask, which it's unpleasant, but something about that texture I really like. And then, how could you not include Cillian Murphy's piercing blue eyes? I mean, again, the attention to detail, even the drawn-on stitches for the mask. Little tie there, the shirt. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I still kind of am just in awe of it. I mean, somebody made this, and not only did they make it, they made it for me. So it came from someone that I love, who loves me. Very special. If you get a chance, definitely go check out Moody Voodies. Can't necessarily guarantee that they will make you your own doll, but they have plenty of dolls that I think, if you like creepy stuff, you will love. On to these slightly bigger figurines. I really like these Eagle Moss pieces. This one, I think, was meant to be part of the DC chess collection, which, while very expensive, was certainly a beauty to look at. I really like how in all their lines, not just this one, they always included a little mini magazine that details the character featured, gives some important appearances by them, and so on. They really make for nice collector's pieces. Funko Pops, of course, we all have at least a couple. And might I just pop in here to ask for a moment of silence for the Arkham Asylum Scarecrow Pop that got cancelled, which still to this day bums me out. Though we did recently just get the one-off Azrael from Arkham Knight, so you never know. Funko, if you're listening, release that Scarecrow, come on. I did also get the NFT Batman Begins Scarecrow, and again, one to rock, one to stock. This one was and will forever be my only foray into NFTs. I just despise them. I hate that this specific look was tied to such an expensive, specific thing, but I knew I would regret it if I never got it, so I did, and I washed my hands of it. But I will say, he does go well with the fear talks in Batman. Obviously, not Scarecrow himself, but what Scarecrow sees when he gets a taste of his own medicine. I love the little fear toxin fart cloud that he comes with. Now, this guy here is a somewhat recent acquisition. This is the Cosbi Scarecrow, formerly known as Cosbabies, Cosplaying Babies. So I think it might technically be Cosby, but I say Cosbi for obvious reasons. And this guy was a little bit of a saga to get. Cosbys are, or at least were, these blind box figures. They've since started doing single releases with windows, so you know which one you're getting. And this guy, I believe, was either only available overseas or just easier to find overseas. So every time he would pop up on eBay, it would be overseas. I bought him once a long time ago from a shop in Japan, and it shipped, but never showed up. But there was a listing over in England that I had my eye on for ages, but shipping was more than the figure itself, and after waiting for too long, it finally sold. But a couple months later, someone in the States finally had him and put him up for sale, and they were super kind to take an offer on it. And I do honestly love this guy. It's so cute. especially since they actually did work in the horse this time. I mean, look how adorable he is with his little flames. So cute. It may have taken a while for me to get, but I'm so happy to finally have it in the collection. Of course, they just came out with a Jokerized version, so the whole saga can start all over again. Yay! Next up, the comics. Now, I am not going to go through these one by one because there are simply too many. Yes, I totally did get a lot of these just because Scarecrow has a cameo appearance in some, or has like a line or two of dialogue. I mean, it's me we're talking about here. I also did get a lot of variant covers if he's on them, even if he's not in the issue. See, that's the tricky thing about variant covers. Sometimes they have nothing to do with the issue at hand, but are so often frame-worthy works of art in and of themselves. But some good appearances of Scarecrow, if you are looking for them, I'd say Year One Scarecrow is a pretty good, really unique take on the character and his origins. His arc in No Man's Land is really cool, with him kind of finding religion and then weaponizing it against Batman in some really interesting ways. I, of course, love him in the Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Haunted Night comics as well. It's not a big part, but I do love the look of him, and I like the weird way he only talks in nursery rhymes in Dark Victory. Very unique take. Cycle of Violence from the New 52 is another pretty good arc about his abusive childhood and how it shaped him. The recent Fear State saga is also pretty good. I love that weird kind of like techno rice farmer look to him in that. And the recent Kings of Fear story, I think, is quite superb. Might honestly be one of my favorites. It's a return to that Kelly Jones version of Scarecrow that I love so, so much. So you get a lot of really trippy visuals. And the story itself, very Christmas Carol slash It's a Wonderful Life-esque, with Scarecrow kind of acting as like a spirit guide to Batman. I definitely recommend that one. These were some of the first Scarecrow comics I ever got, aside from the Batman Begins comic adaptation. So this introduced me to a lot of the classic stories, his backstory, all that. Scarecrow Tales, obviously, collects a couple important issues that he's in. It was released in the lead up to Batman Begins, since at the time, Scarecrow was still kind of like maybe a B tier villain at best. I like to think he's definitely risen in the ranks since then. And then Year One Scarecrow. I do love the look of this one, how kind of handmade and rough it is. One thing you will notice is that this is volume 2. The story was split up into 2 volumes, and I was never able to find volume 1, so for years I only knew the second half of the story. I never knew how it started. Luckily, each part is a fairly good standalone story, so I still got the gist. And I really do like this version, not only the look, but the backstory as well, with the deed to the Crane Keeney farm, his grandmother, all that. This issue was also my first introduction to his love of monologuing. He really does love to hear himself talk. I've got another really meaningful Year One piece coming up later on. And then Batman number 524. This was the single issue that was included with the DC Superheroes Scarecrow figure. So this was the first kind of standalone issue that I ever got. And again, with the Kelly Jones style, where Batman is kind of this big, towering creature comprised mainly of cape, and Scarecrow is kind of this gangly, angular boogeyman. This was the one that I think really helped me fall in love with the character, just how everything is kind of cast in shadow and looking so weird and uncanny, just slightly off. And this issue sees Scarecrow going after some of his high school bullies, which became sort of an overarching thing with him throughout the years, targeting people who picked on him. Which, as a nerdy, unpopular kid who definitely got picked on, this one definitely stood out to me. Not because I ever wanted to murder my bullies, but, we all have those fantasies of standing up to him. This was in kind of my dark, angsty teen phase, so anything this visually striking was right up my alley, and still is, admittedly. I love this issue. Scarecrow is definitely a threat around this time. On to the action figures, and this is definitely a large part of the collection, as you can imagine. I've got pretty much, I think, all of the releases from over the years, aside from just a few paint variants. Most are out of the box, but I've kept a few in the box. There's really no rhyme or reason to which ones, really, just usually if I have more than one of something. I'll start with the non-DC Scarecrow ones. Yes, I do collect some non-DC Scarecrow things too, but only the ones that really remind me of Scarecrow proper. And then, of course, there's the Marvel Comics Scarecrow, because, there was that time when Marvel and DC just had to compete with each other and always introduced very similarly, but just different enough characters to avoid any sort of legal action. But he is essentially the same character, just in the Marvel universe. A little more sick and twisted in some ways. He's definitely gone to lengths that even Jonathan hasn't. But look-wise, he definitely reminds me of like the New 52 Scarecrow, even though that came out way, way after this one. It's very simple, but very Scarecrow. The DC superhero Scarecrow, I believe, is one of the very first ones I ever got. It was either in the lead up to or shortly after Batman Begins, I can't remember. But this one was instrumental in my love for the character, especially because it came with an issue of the comic that had the Kelly Jones version that I grew to love so much. And man, this figure still holds up. I have unfortunately misplaced his scythe, but just the figure itself, so cool. Great sculpt, great articulation, definitely one of the more lanky Scarecrows that we've gotten. It's not quite a one-to-one of the Kelly Jones art that it's based off of, but it's not far. And originally, these guys were supposed to come with a themed base, but that idea, unfortunately, was scrapped for being too costly, which I think is a real shame. That would have been so cool. I love a good base, It followed closely by what might have been my first ever Scarecrow figure, the Batman Begins release. Now, this was my first ever introduction to action figure variants. I'd just learned what a variant was, what a chase figure was, all that, and I saw that they had one for Scarecrow, which, despite what it looks like, I think is supposed to be like a bloody nightmare kind of effect. So thinking that this was going to be super rare and sought after, I ended up looking for this one and actually finding it on my first try. There was one of those big end cap displays with like the big cardboard box full of figures, and I rifled through them and I found one way in the back, and I was just ecstatic in the middle of this random Walmart. I don't think either one of them really became that difficult to find or particularly sought after, but it was still just a thrill for me. I didn't even get the regular unbloody variant until a couple years ago, and to be quite honest, I think I like this clean one best. It's so silly what our young minds will convince us of, especially us nerds. And honestly, it was on from there. Now, this was the heyday of DC Direct, so I obviously snatched up a bunch of their releases, which are the next handful or so. The Dark Knight Movie Masters line gave us both the straitjacket version and later the suited version. But they really do love giving us the straitjacket version first, don't they? Which I guess I understand. I mean, it's a tiny bit more visually interesting than just a guy in a suit. But these were really our first, highly detailed, well-articulated live-action figures, and they really did change the game back in the day. I don't think we'd have, the DC multiverse figures we have now without these guys. I love that these figures back then all came with their little GCPD evidence bags. And I, of course, have my little Scarecrow mask. Back to DC Direct, the Justice version by Alex Ross is another one of my favorite, I'd say kind of obscure versions. I love that little skull effect peeking through the mask where you really don't know if there's even a living person under there or not. I know he did come with that unmasked head, but come on, this is definitely how I will always be displaying him. The DC collectibles and, of course, McFarlane re-releases of the animated series Scarecrow. I am so glad I picked these up when they first came out, because until McFarlane re-released them, Scarecrow was going for a couple pretty pennies on eBay. But I absolutely love these figures. They're so nostalgic for me, and I still keep them all displayed. I have a couple, honestly, so I can display him both with the Crowllection and then with the other animated series figures. And I am glad that McFarlane re-released them for folks who missed out the first time, but I certainly have my qualms on how he did so, definitely by cheaping out a bit. I made a little rant about it on my review of the New Batman Adventures re-release, if you want to check that one out. And speaking of McFarlane, his version of the Batman Begins Scarecrow, again, giving us that straitjacket version first, followed by the suited version, which I like that he gave us, but I hate those bell bottoms. It's such a weird choice, especially when we know that he has regular suited bodies that not only are slimmer than this one, but don't have those funky bell bottoms. He also did give us the Jokerized Scarecrow, and look, I know a lot of people did not like this wave, but personally, I don't mind it. I certainly like these better than all those Venomized figures we got in the Marvel lines. There, I don't really see Venom overtaking all of those characters, but Joker doing graffiti on these characters? Absolutely. Absolutely something he would do. especially the Nolan version. I mean, that I think it fit in so well with the marketing for the movie. I thought it was really, really fun and a really clever way of giving us some variants, some store exclusives without making them like crucial characters or looks. Overall, I think McFarlane gave us more Scarecrows than maybe any other company, so I do have to commend him for that. Todd really, really likes the dark, spooky characters, kind of like me, so I definitely lucked out in that regard. Would you like to see my mask? I use it in my cosplay. It's probably not very frightening to a guy like you, but these nerds, they can't stand it. But, as you can imagine, what I really wanted all these years was just a good, realistic-looking Batman Begins Scarecrow mask, and you best believe I've been pretty picky about what I want from it. But I do think that I finally found one a couple of years back, a lovingly handmade one. And honestly, I am so happy with how this guy turned out. It is completely wearable, but I just keep it on this little display stand for display purposes only. I would love to get an Arkham Asylum and an Arkham Knight mask. I know they made a latex version of the latter, but again, I'm very picky about what I look for. But my ultimate goal, I think, is to have eventually one of each mask next to their respective fear toxin gloves. I know it'll probably take time and probably a lot of money, but it's doable. Uh, Hi, yeah, can I order a pepperoni pizza, please? Over? Hello? Oh, uh, hi, I didn't see you all there. Look, you guys, I'm getting a little hungry, which, let's be honest, is way more scary than anything you could have seen here. So I'll go ahead and end it here. That'll do it for part one of the Crowllection. Uh, I know a lot of these you guys probably have in your collection as well. If so, let me know which ones down below, and if not, let me know which ones you'd like to add to yours. And be sure to come back soon for part two. That's the one where we get into more of the original, one-of-a-kind pieces like artwork, statues, and so on. That definitely has a lot of my favorite pieces, so be sure to come on back soon. I will be back soon, very soon, with more creepy Crowllection content, but in the meantime, don't forget, stay spooky, over.